Yo, what's up guys, it's Magnusz here, and I wanted to do a little video about Venthyr, primarily the Soulbind that you want to go, the Conduits that you want to go, and Soulbind that you pick, and kind of, what my thoughts were as playing Venthyr on my main, what they are, or what they continue to be playing it on my ult, and just kind of my thoughts about Venthyr in general. So, primarily, I think Venthyr is really good. I'll just kind of cover, just, I guess, right? Words are hard sometimes. I like Venthyr. I think Venthyr is a really nice offensive option. It's more of a play for yourself type options too. Like everything that you do is kind of for yourself. Especially with your PvP taunts. Like as you play Venthyr, you'll notice that Venthyr feels at its best whenever you can play Death Sentence. Whenever you can play Death Sentence, Venthyr feels great. It feels wonderful. Every single time you press condemn, you charge at somebody, you're really hard to deal with. We're not even at renown 30. Once we get renown 30 and familiar predicaments, then it'll be crazy. It'll be so hard to deal with it. But I think that it's very good in 2v2. Obviously, I can't really speak for rating or Mythic Plus. I don't do either of those things. But I know that in my experience, it's insane in 2v2. I think it's much better than Kyrian. Honestly, I'd go so far as to say that Venthyr Warrior might be the best spec in twos in general. Like I haven't struggled versus anything really. Any specific matchup. Obviously, you'll make mistakes sometimes, or you might get outplayed, or you might get gibbed. Those things will happen, but even those things are very far and few in between. It's very strong. It's very sturdy. It's very good on its own. The reason that I went Venthyr on my main, and then I went back Kyrian on my main the next week, primarily is just because I have two warriors. But the issue that you start to run into with Venthyr is like, wow, like you're playing twos, you're testing it out, you're getting your renown back, you're catching your renown up if you work Kyrian, you're having so much fun. You start playing threes, you're like, wow, I'm having so much fun. But then you run into these scenarios where, for example, this is what was happening to me a lot. I was playing Warrior Shadow Priest and I was queuing into melee cleaves, and before we were destroying these melee cleaves, and the only thing that changed was that I went Venthyr from Kyrian, and then we started struggling. We were noticing that we didn't have the Spirit Bastion to peel. We didn't have it to set up these swaps. Versus like specifically Shadow Priest teams actually, like we would often swap Shadow Priest teams healers, or even the the DPS if you're not hitting a Shadow Priest. The Shadow Priest would grip them, but I'd have a spear down so they wouldn't be able to. They're locked in place. It was setting up with spear was quite nice. But as Venthyr, there was no setup. It was just damage. I think at higher levels of play, you really do end up missing out on that spear. I don't think that it's worth it in most comps. I think the Venthyr is still extremely good. If you're playing Warrior Mage, that's really the only comp where I would recommend to play it. It would probably be okay as Thunder, which is just Warrior Ellie. But I mean, in Warrior Mage, it's kind of just like Venthyr is just so much better because you just do damage and you don't really need to help your mage in terms of like peeling for himself or. I mean, your setups, they die in the stun to Meteor anyway, so I think Venthyr is better there. But just overall, I really missed the spear, and my ult was quickly catching up on gear, and I was like, there's just no reason to have two warriors as Venthyr on the same faction. That just seems ridiculous. I went back carrying my main, but I really do like Venthyr, and in playing it, I tried all three Soulbinds while playing it. I've tried them all on TR a little bit too, and I really like the Nadia the most, and the reason for that is really just Thrill Seeker. Thrill Seeker is insane. Obviously, you have to be in combat, so I mentioned this because versus things that are okay. Let me start over. I mentioned being in combat here because whenever you fight a double DPS team, this was the only thing that I didn't like in twos as Venthyr. I didn't like fighting Rogue Mage as Venthyr. I hated it. I really missed the spear. I didn't like pressing. I didn't like that Book of Shadows was another defensive against me because I was Condemn, or because it was Venthyr, because Condemn is obviously shadow damage. I didn't like that. So, and I was noticing that whenever I was playing these teams, I was like, okay, like I'm not getting a single Thrill Seeker Euphoria proc the entire game. Even in 2 and 3 minute games, I'm not getting one because I'm not in combat because they're running for Rees, combat's falling. It's really hard to stay in combat. I'm getting sheeped and combat's falling. I'm like, I don't like this. So that's whenever I went General Draven. I really like General Draven. Service and Stone was really nice because a lot of these teams will just opt to go you so that they don't have to deal with Intervene or your utility for your teammates. I really like Service and Stone. You just get 10% damage whenever you're below 40. So a lot of the times you can actually live these cheap shots without trinketing. These certain stuns. their setups, you can actually live. So I really ended up liking this, but I didn't really like anything else in his tree. I think the bottom part of his tree is extremely underwhelming. All three of these are, this is okay, but it's like if you wanted to go build for war, you would have to take a finesse conduit, and you don't like that. None of these are overwhelmingly good. This stuff doesn't matter. So primarily I played Nadia, especially in twos, unless I was fighting, like I said, Rogue Mage. So obviously Agent of Chaos is going to DR your fear, so you're not going to really want to door fear on Warrior ever. You just take this because it's a free potency conduit. At times, I thought this could be nice whenever I was playing. The only the only time I actually liked this was whenever I was playing Warrior Shadow Priest Disc, right? And I was like, oh, okay, like that's okay, because you end up just like pressing this and hitting it on one person and DRing a fear, and you're playing with 3 fears on your team. And you're like, okay, that sucks. Even with the extra potency conduit, you're like, okay, like this is losing me games, right? So I actually tried this and it was okay, because I really needed to just like stay on target, and I was more so dooring to chase instead of dooring in. I was dooring after people, so the speed after was kind of nice, but I don't recommend really playing this or playing Warrior Shadow Priest Disc. We were just having fun. But here I like to take Mortal Combo. And I'll leave the screen up for a second. You see all the different options here for potency conduits. A lot of people like Ashen Juggernaut. I get asked about Harrowing Punishment. Harrowing Punishment is absolute dog shit. You have to be around like 6 people to make it as valuable as, or not even as valuable, like 5% less valuable than a Crash, the Ramparts. I just think it's terrible. Ashen Juggernaut's really good in PvE, but in PvP you're not going to be spamming Condemn that much. Like, okay, you're going to spam Condemn as much as you can, but you're not going to be in these scenarios where you can Condemn 5, 6, 7, 8 times and get high levels of crit and really punish people for it. 1, you're not going to have the rage. 2, you're not going to have the uptime. So I mean, obviously you're going to have to still press Ignore Pain if you're being attacked. Like I said, you won't have the uptime to actually generate the rage, so it's not. It would be good in theory, but it's the way PvP works. It just doesn't. It doesn't work out like that, or work out that way. So I like taking the Mortal Combo conduit. I'm just gonna press 226 here because this is the highest level conduit you'll be able to get this season. I only have a level 200 one, but I'll just put 226 just for the sake of it. Obviously, Agent of Chaos, like I said, whenever you door in, it fears him, puts him on fear DR. Just try to not fear after you door on top of somebody. Best thing you can do. Here, I actually like taking Inspiring Presence. Again, I'll just put it to 226. I like Inspiring Presence because oftentimes on Venthyr Warrior, you play Sharpened Blade, offensive talent. You play Death Sentence, offensive talent. And then because you're playing a Death Sentence, offensive talent, you're like, okay, this kind of sucks. Like, as Kyrian, I could play 2 utility talents. Now I can only play 1. So what is a utility talent that does everything well, right? Because you might fight Rogue Mage and be like, oh, like, I want Disarm for the Rogue, but I also want Warband for the setups, but I kind of want I want Rally too. So what do I take? Or I want Overwatch 2 for Reflex. You're like, what do I take? And so I was just finding that in the scenarios where I wanted to stay offensive, I was just taking Master and Commander because it fits well into every situation no matter what. If you're fighting a melee cleave, it's good. Fighting a setup-based comp, it's good. If you're fighting a wizard cleave, it's good. So no matter what you're doing, Master and Commander is always good. Obviously, there are scenarios where you run into certain comps and Master and Commander you don't take. But most of the time I was playing it, so I was like, okay, I'll just put Inspiring Presence here. I like that, right? This thing's dog shit. I played Venthyr for like a week on my main. I played Venthyr on my alt for like 3 weeks. I still don't know what the fucking Infused Ruby is. I don't know what the hell this shit is. But anyway, going on down, your Endurance Conduit. I take Stalwart Guardian always. It doesn't say on Wildhead Tooltip, but I think it's like 32 seconds off of your Die by the Sword, so that's really, really useful. Like, it's absolutely massive. Like, you could just trade your Die by the Sword with Combust. You can trade your Die by the Sword, with pretty much any team's offensive pressure or go, or anything like that. It's extremely, extremely good. Just having your main defensive cooldown, your only real defensive cooldown on a shorter cooldown is always good. A lot of the times I was finding, not necessarily versus Rogue Mage, but versus a lot of like other setup-based comps, like primarily Windwalker DK, I would fight like Trill and Mez, and I'd be like, damn, like, I have parry up, but I'm stuck in the fucking stun, because I'm playing Rally, I'm playing Relentless. I'm like, how the fuck can I make this so I can get out and not die to these motherfuckers? So what I started doing versus teams like setup-based comps like that, they don't have a lot of just static CC, right? So like you still like Rally versus, because if now this is assuming that you're playing human, right? I'm playing human. I'm speaking from my perspective there. I'm playing human. I'm like, okay, I have a human, but it's a 3-minute cooldown. I can't get out. I'm playing Rally. Do I want to play double DPS trinkets? Nah, that's not good. I started playing Medallion, just like the normal get out of everything trinket. And what I was noticing was that on their setups and on their goes, if I rotate human and I rotate Medallion, I can trinket parry every minute 30. Every single time I have a trinket, I can parry. Obviously, like leg sweep is only a 6-second cooldown. You can't get out of every single one, but somebody in your team can. So the big deal in that comp was that I was dying to chill streak, I was dying to the cleave, I was getting, Tony the Tigered, he was summoning the Ninja Turtles, they were beating my ass. Fuck, like this hurts, this sucks, I'm demoralized, my ego hurts, what do I do? And so we all just started playing Trinket, because we're all human, we all started playing human, or Trinket with human, and we were just rotating our Trinket and human, so that every single go, no matter what happens, one of us has a Trinket, somebody can get out. And it actually worked, and Stalwart Guardian, I just tell this kind of story to like get perspective, like Stalwart Guardian, in this scenario, extremely potent. Without Stalwart Guardian, I wouldn't be able to do that. So it's really nice. And then after this, obviously you have 3 Conduit choices here. This is completely useless unless you're like a panda, like XD, the move. Familiar Predicament's really good. I think that's probably the best one here. Dauntless Duelist is really, really good too. You deal 3% more, you take 1.5% less. It's really good, but you have to take a finesse conduit here. And it's like, what would you take here that's good? Like, I don't like any of this shit. Safeguard's okay, but Safeguard better than another potency conduit? And another snare reduction? No, it's not. So what I ended up doing was, I just go this side of the tree. Obviously, Familiar Predicaments unlocks next week. So, and then I take Crash and Ramparts. That's what I like to do. I like Crash. I think Crash is actually the best conduit, or best potency conduit. And, previously I've thought that, like, Mortal Combo was as good, but Mortal Combo is a chance to do damage, and Crash is a guarantee. And you play, fuck, words are hard sometimes, Dreadnought, the regular talent Dreadnought, pretty much every game. And Crash not only affects your overpower damage, but also affects the seismic wave. I was just like, wow, like this is just like a consistent damage increase. You can tell whenever you have it on, because like you can tell whenever you have it on, you can tell whenever you don't. And I think this is actually just the best potency conduit in PvP. It's the most consistent. The only scenario where I would maybe not take this is if you are playing Rogue Mage and you just keep breaking sheeps with Dreadnought Wave, maybe you would just like take a different path. Like maybe that would be the scenario where you would just not take Crash and you would go this side of the tree and play Dauntless Duelist. That might be that scenario, but even here, it's Familiar Predicament's just so much better. I'm going to click this so that it stops flashing, but I don't actually want to take it. It's still just flashing. I'm just going to put something here because it's annoying me. But I always go Familiar Predicaments, right? On TR, I went Familiar Predicaments. Whenever I tested on beta, I went Familiar Predicaments. I just think it's the best, right? It's just, overall, this is how I structure my tree. Ignore this side of it. I don't really ever really take this. But normally, I just go like this. That's how I play this tree. Again, I'll show General Draven too. You can see that I filled General Draven out before. I don't know why this tree specifically stays, but this is how I do General Draven, right? So whenever you're playing General Draven, you're playing him because you want to live versus double DPS and 2s, right? This is good because you get an Endurance Conduit and you can chase, but you're never really playing anything in 2s where you would gain value as move as 1. So what I say is, like, obviously you gain the Endurance Conduit right here. What I liked was this. I liked playing Inspiring Presence, right? And then I liked playing Enduring Gloom. If they let me get the door off while I'm chasing them, I'm dooring in, and then it's giving me a shield equal to 15% of my max HP. It's like, wow, like, nice, actually. Like, a 15% HP shield, that's pretty good. And then I get the Finesse Conduit, because against every single double DPS team in 2s, you're going to play Master and Commander. Like, versus every single one. Like, versus Rogue Mage, you're going to play it. Versus Double Rogue, you're going to play it. You pretty much always play it. So I was like, wow, I like that. I like that a lot. I actually really liked how that felt. I could door in without being as scared, because whenever the door completes, I get a shield. Next, I played Mortal Combo. Again, just Mortal Combo is really good. I think it's better. I think it's the second best potency option. Just in my opinion, right? Neither of these things matter, right? I don't know why they have these in the trees. They're completely worthless. Again, Stalwart Guardian I think is the best, as I talked about earlier, and the reasons why I think that it's the best. It's just no other. Like, I'll just look at them. Like, Brutal Vitality is okay, but the rest of them just suck. And there's no like way to like. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said they didn't suck. They suck like bad. And then after this, You know, I filled out this tree before. You can see that like I filled out this side just for shits and giggles. I thought Built for War might be okay. I actually kind of like Superior Tactics, but most of the time what I take is Crash again. I don't remember whenever I filled this tree out, but I kind of don't like this. Like looking back on it, like I'm just recording this video in one take, you know, just my raw thoughts. I don't actually like this shit. I think that I'd rather have Crash up here because I think that Crash is better so that I always play it. And I think I'd rather have Mortal Combo down here. I don't think that I would ever take Built for War. I think that if I was going to take anything else in this tree, it would be take a second Endurance and take Brutal Vitality and then take Superior Tactics for the crit. So you get 10% crit for 10 seconds. That could be useful. I think that's what, like, you know, I would do, right? Because whenever I play this on live, obviously, we're at Renown 28, so I don't have access to this row, so I haven't actually played with it much. I played with it on TR, but on TR I just played Hold Your Ground. Hold Your Ground's like isn't like overwhelmingly good, but you get like sheeped, you come out with stamina, and like 4% healing increase stun. I don't know if that actually affects your Ignore Pain or not. I have no clue, but I just took it, you know, because Potency Conduit. But looking at it, I would think the Superior Tactic is actually quite good. Losing a chance to crit a Mortal Strike sucks, but you're gaining durability. You're gaining some offensive component from the crit. Having crit as Venthyr is quite nice, actually, because anytime that you crit a Condemn, it's just like, holy fuck, you know? But more so just if you crit an auto, you gain more rage, and Venthyr is so rage-starved that like just having any more rage is better. So I actually think that I would take Superior Tactics in this tree. It's more of a defensive tree anyway, you know, but I don't think that I would take double potency in a defensive tree, actually. You know, looking at it, I'm going to click that so it stops flashing, but I really do think that I would just take Superior Tactics here. I think that it's better in pretty much any scenario that you would put it in. Like, if you kick a mage in Rogue Mage 2s, and you kick a sheep, and you gain 10% crit, and you crit a Condemn, and you get caught. It's like, those crits add up a lot there. And the scenarios where you would be playing this for Service and Stone are only really in those scenarios versus double DPS. Like, yeah, like, ideally, a Mortal Combo could win you the game there too, but do you care about the stamina increase? Or would you rather just be more durable with Brutal Vitality than have, like, you know, a chance at 10%? 10% crit's actually quite a lot. Like, you're gonna get a crit from this. Like, it's gonna do something. So I don't know. I think that I would like this. This is how I would structure it. And this is kind of just like my thoughts on Venthyr, right? I don't think Theotar is useful at all. The only cool thing in Theotar is like being able to door out of a root. Like, his bottom tree down here is good. I've filled it out before for people to ask me because they just refuse to play anything but it. I think this could be good, but it doesn't make any sense that there's a potency over here, and then this is like I don't know. I just don't like that this is the best one down here, and then there's the potency. I don't like taking finesse conduits. I only like having one finesse conduit. Having two just seems kind of bad to me. I don't actually like anything in Theotar's tree at all. So yeah, just to kind of recap, play Nadia unless you're gonna die. If you're not gonna die, play Nadia. If you are gonna die, play Draven and don't die, or just die 10% slower, below 40. But yeah, that's kind of just how I would structure if I decided to play Venthyr. A couple thoughts on why I would play Venthyr, and yeah, thanks for watching.